Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
So she won me over with her hatred.
I love it so much. They have such a hard-on for Dead by Daylight. And I don't even know why.
It was like Corky Romano. She's like, do you want to buy a boat?
Right.
Something about his voice, man. I'm just like, can you
I know.
just, like, whisper in my ear?
Can you, like, ASMR into my ear, please?
Yes.
Hey.
Hey, I'm Melissa.
I'm Ammiel.
And we love video games and movies, and we love talking about them.
And we love talking about them to you.
Specifically. And
we want you to listen to what we have to say. Whether it's important or not, we want you to hear it.
Exactly. Whether it's nonsense, rambling, all of it.
It is going to be nonsense rambling, but we want you here.
Enjoy it with us. Ramble with us.
We're going to ramble about movies and video games and then give them arbitrary ratings based on our own opinions and nothing else.
Nothing else. Yes. And we go through each individual movie and video game, as you just said.
And we go deep dive into them. So there's going to be spoilers in this, people.
Oh,
if you don't like it spoiled, then watch it first and then come back. Play the video game first and then come back.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be giving away the big secrets.
We talk about all the innards of the ins and outs.
The guts and gizzards of the movie.
The pee-pee poos, if you will.
We talk about the nipples and the taints.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said it. I was thinking it, but I couldn't form the right words. So grab your joystick and some tissues and come along this ride with us.
And get ready, because we are going to dive into some clicks and flicks.
And guess what? We're starting with the flick today.
We are? Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I always forget, so exciting.
I'm pretty sure.
I touched my mic.
That's okay. I do it all the time.
Then let's get into it. Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
So today's flick is Birds of Prey. Wait, there's a whole title.
Is it really?
And the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Is that really the whole thing? Wait.
Yeah. Let me try to get it out all in one.
Go for it.
Birds of Prey. And what?
You got
Okay. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Boom. Wow, that's a freaking mouthful. I didn't even know that.
This movie is a sequel to the first Suicide Squad that came out in, I don't even remember what year, 2016, 2017?
Yeah, something like that.
Now, I never saw Birds of Prey when it came out in 2020 because there are several reasons. Number one, and I'm going to admit this before I admit anything else, is that I am not a Batman fan. I'm not a Bat fan. I don't know what you guys call yourselves. Don't come at me. I'm not part of the Wing Brigade.
Me either, honestly. I'm a Marvel fan for the most part.
I don't really mostly the comics I read were like Tokyo Mew Mew. So I never really got into like superhero.
Yes.
So any opinion is coming from someone who is just not familiarized with the background or the lore of a lot of these characters. So I'm approaching this from just
A fresh view.
As a movie, as a fresh take.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'm not... I wasn't really familiar with a lot of these characters, and like when the bad guy puts on the mask, I'm all, oh, he just turned into someone. Like I didn't know what villain he was. I had to look it up.
Same.
I'm like, oh,
Same.
this is this villain's origin story. I just don't know who he is.
Yeah, same. Not gonna lie.
Okay. So it's a sequel to Suicide Squad, and it starts off with Harley Quinn telling us her origin story, and it starts off in like a cartoon. It's super cute.
It is.
I love it. One thing about this movie is that it's like super cartoony and super cheesy throughout the whole thing. So the fact that it starts off with a cartoon just really get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole movie is narrated by her, which I liked.
Yes.
The fact that it was consistent, because a lot of times movies will begin with a narration and then like fall off. But as a storytelling device, I think that it's fine. A lot of people maybe don't love it for movies, but I think that there are lots of great movies that use narration, and the fact that they didn't forget about it halfway through writing the movie,
Right.
I appreciate. Sometimes you see that, but
I thought that was a very unique, because you don't see it all that often. It was really like new and
yeah. And I thought it was really important for Harley Quinn's character to be seeing the movie from her perspective and for her to be telling the story, because if you aren't in that mindset, if you're not that crazy, it's like, why? It's not going to make sense. Like, what is she doing? Why is she doing this? Why does she act like that? But when she explains... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, or even something like Deadpool, where he breaks the third wall. Like that would have been really cool to see Harley Quinn do. So. Yeah,
but in both of those, I think with both of those characters, they kind of are bringing you along with the movie in their perspective. So you're seeing the things and the events happening, even though she's like murdering people. You're like, oh, that's funny because.
Yeah.
She's a clown.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So Harley Quinn is played by one Margot Robbie, and she's gorgeous. I thought her acting in this was beautiful.
Agreed.
The way that her emotions just came out right from behind her eyes, in especially the scene where she's like completely paralyzed. I thought that was like really good, really talented. Yeah. So she's telling her origin story, and it's a cartoon, and then we learn all about her and joining the Suicide Squad and then breaking up with the Joker. She ends up kind of making a big statement to all of Gotham that her and the Joker are over by blowing up the acid Ace Chemical factory where she fell in a vat of acid to prove her love to him. Where she became Harley Quinn to begin with. So the cops see this, and the main cop who we follow along, Renee Montoya, is played by Rosie Perez, who she's another favorite. You know, people love her. She basically makes the statement and lets the audience know, like, yeah, this was Harley Quinn. She is making a statement that her and the Joker are over, and now she's going to have a lot of people after her. Because apparently Harley Quinn didn't take her relationship with the Joker and the immunity that it came with into account when she decided to break up with him and would lose that immunity, and was continuing walking around Gotham like she could, like she owned the city, and suddenly her protection is gone because everyone knows the Joker is not going to be there for her. So what's stopping them now from getting back at her?
Yeah.
So Harley Quinn is at this nightclub, and she ends up pissing off the owner and she breaks his driver's legs because he called her a dumb slut, and she was like, I have a PhD.
Yes.
I was like, go girl.
Yes.
You tell
That's
him.
a good scene.
You are not, she's like, do not call me dumb.
Yep.
So after his driver's legs are broken, he hires Black Canary to be his driver. She was like there singing at the club, and then he ends up hiring her to be his driver. This is, did I already say Ewan McGregor?
No.
The club owner is played by our Lord and Savior Ewan McGregor.
Am I Did I miss something here?
He does such a good, like, American accent, too. He's done it in other movies. He did one in Down with Love. Uh-huh. But in this one, he's just so much more mature than, like, the roles that he's known for. He's, like, completely... He's, like, talks raspy. He's just, like, a totally different character. That it took me a long time to realize who it was. And then once I finally did, I couldn't stop the feelings.
I was... Okay. Can I... Full disclosure. Had no idea it was Ewan McGregor. Like, at all. I knew he was familiar. Okay. He just looked so different. Like, I couldn't put his name to his face.
There's even a scene that she starts singing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. Uh-huh. And I was like having Moulin Rouge flashbacks because he's like, I was like, I've seen this. Like,
I've seen this somewhere.
With Nicole. Wait. So.
That's amazing. I was wondering why I was attracted
So he plays, yeah. No. Something about his voice, man. I'm just like, can you just, like, whisper in my ear?
Can you, like, ASMR into my ear, please?
Yes.
Oh, God. That's so funny. I'm so glad you made that a point. Oh, God.
So Black Canary becomes his driver, but she also is working with Renee Montoya and kind of letting her know what's going on with him and stuff. So she's obviously being a double crosser right there. But for the good guys, for the bad guys, see, in Gotham, it's like really hard to tell who's who.
That, but also like she was just like a neutral character. She was as neutral as like kind of neutral gets. You know what I mean?
The cop.
Yeah.
I also have other opinions about the villains in Batman stories anyway.
Me too.
And how I actually think Batman is the biggest villain in Gotham. But we could talk about that at the end.
Okay.
So Black Canary is working with Montoya, and she lets them know that now they're looking for Cassandra, which is this girl who stole a diamond that... What's Ewan McGregor's character? He's Black Mask.
The Black Mask,
He becomes Black Mask, which is the one who I was all, he just became someone, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So Black Mask, but before he's Black Mask, he's just like his normal character. What's his name? Roman.
Roman. That's right.
It's Roman's. I don't remember the last name. Sionis.
Something like
Sionis?
that. That
Roman
sounds
Sionis.
close.
So Roman had his diamond, this like really expensive diamond stolen. This kid who's in like the foster care system, she's like neglected by her parents and doesn't really have like a place to be. She doesn't really have anywhere that fits in. She ends up stealing the diamond, swallowing it, and now everyone's after her. Harley Quinn catches up with her in a police, like a jail cell. and accidentally releases everyone, and they're all, like, after her because they all hate her, so everyone obviously is after her.
Right.
And they start shooting at this big pile of, like, cocaine, and...
I love this part, by the way. It made me so happy.
And she just is like, oh, yes, I'm gonna use this energy in the air. It was like Corky Romano. She's like, do you want to buy a boat?
Right. Oh god.
She like has all this energy
today. I'm laughing like so hard. I'm crying.
She has all this energy and is on her, like, is there like a term for like having coke energy? Like, what is that?
High? I don't know.
They're on that, I don't know.
They're on that good. Like,
Rocky High. She's on that good.
Oh, Rocky High, yeah.
I don't know, I just made that up. Do you like it?
I like it. Yeah, I do.
I should start cocaine.
Can I join?
So she gets super high, starts beating everybody up, escapes with Cassandra, and she takes her back to her apartment. She introduces her to her landlord, which is like, this is the one guy in town I can trust. Then he ends up selling her out, and it's really sad. She's like, there's this part where she's just like, it's me. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that just breaks my heart so much.
And she was like, business is business, because that's what he says to her. Like,
yeah.
That was sad.
At that point, she's like, well, if everyone's out for themselves anyways, I'm just going to, like, I'm giving up. And she, like, decides to turn in Cassandra. We find out that there's another, like, assassin that's on the loose, but she's not looking for Harley. She's looking for Roman's friend, who was part of, like, a mercenary team that killed her whole family. Kind of like Romanov execution style, where they just, like, took literally the whole family and shot them all. This one girl survived. The daughter survived because she, basically her mom's dead body, like, landed on top of her. And the bodyguards who were making sure everyone was dead noticed that she survived and had a heart for her and let her play dead. And then after everyone left, took her away and took her to his dad and brothers and let them raise her as an assassin. And her family was like the richest family in Gotham, and they were the original owners of this diamond that Cassandra ended up stealing and swallowing. Right. That now Roman wants. So we find out that... So basically, now that we know all these people, we're at the fair, and
yes.
Harley Quinn, so she has Cassandra, and she's like, I'm sorry to have to do this, but this is the only way to get immunity back is if I turn you in, and then Roman's gonna give me immunity, blah, blah, blah. So that's her whole plan. And as she's going there, Black Canary and Roman's little best friend henchman guy, he notices that Black Canary gets a text message from Montoya. Even though it says unknown name, he knows that it's from somebody she's working with outside. It says, we'll meet you there. So then he goes, okay, I know now she's working with someone else. He calls Roman and is like, she's a snake, she's double-crossed her. He goes, all right, kill her. And he's like, okay, we're going to do this. But he doesn't get to, because when he's there, he tries to, once they're there, he paralyzes Harley Quinn so she can't do anything. And he finds Black Canary with Cassandra, and she's trying to set her free to cut the tape off of her and stuff. And he says, well, cut her open and get the diamond out, or you're not really a stan. Like,
right.
You're a fake fan if you don't cut her open. And she's all, I'm not gonna do that. Are you crazy? She's a kid. He's like, well, then I'm gonna kill you. And then he dies because Huntress comes in and gets him because he was one of the guys who killed her family. So she's like been on this quest for her whole life, killed this, that, and the other, and finally ends it.
She's my favorite character. Her rage is like
she is good. She is really funny. At first I was like not sure if I was going to like it, but she stayed true to it. It wasn't fake, that she stayed like genuine to it, that it sold it. So she won me over with her hatred.
I love it so much.
So now Montoya meets them there. She starts fighting everyone in there. But then they all realize that Roman is outside and he's after all of them. So they might as well work together. Mm-hmm. So they gear up with all of Harley Quinn's old Joker trophy wife gear. Paraphernalia. And weapons. Yes. And we see Cassandra sneak a little grenade in her pocket, which comes in handy later.
She's a smart kid.
Yeah. If you see a grenade,
pick it up.
In your pocket. Pick it up. If
you see a diamond, swallow it.
Just kidding. Just kidding, kids. Please do not.
Do not.
If you see a diamond, swallow it.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
A kiss on the hand, maybe.
Sorry, continue.
So they gear up and they fight this like army of mercenaries in this fun house. And this fight scene is thrilling.
It's wicked. Yeah.
It's wicked.
It's wicked.
It's sick tight, y'all.
It's sick tight.
Like, it's so rad. I can't even...
I was waiting for that, too. They did a good job building up to it. It was nice.
Yeah. It was a good fight scene. I would definitely say a highlight of the movie. Like, it was so enjoyable to watch. It was so much action. I thought it was really good. Loved that fight scene. Harley Quinn puts on roller skates.
Oh, yeah. That was wild.
And there's a point where they're like, why is she putting on roller skates or something? Which is a valid, fair question, which in any other movie I would say, why did they suddenly put on roller skates?
Exactly.
But because it's Harley Quinn, you know that what's crazy makes sense to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
so
I think the DC universe could get away with so much. And not, I mean, their movies aren't always like in comparison to Marvel. They're really never as top tier, but they did a really good job. You're right.
I feel like
just handled it well.
Out of all the DC movies I have seen, this one is the best for I mean, not that I've seen every single one, but
Joker was good.
Really good.
Mm-hmm. Joker was more serious
with Joaquin Phoenix, but but I don't believe that one is technically part of the DC comic book universe movie film. Fair. I think that's supposed to be its own separate thing. So I did think that was a good, like, I thought that movie was good as far as, like, a character study of the Joker. And I thought that Joaquin Phoenix and I thought that the director, you could really tell that they put a lot of work into it and effort. And I think that is really admirable when it comes to making a movie, is for the people making it to actually care about what they're putting out. So that was definitely, and I think I got that same thing with Birds of Prey. Like, Margot Robbie was very intentional of how she wanted Harley Quinn to be portrayed. And in this movie, we saw that. And we saw the director had a very specific vision of how they wanted these female characters to be portrayed. And things were done intentionally. And I thought that it was such good female representation because so often do you see the, like, look at this badass girl boss, like,
Right.
And that's not what this was. Like, these are real characters, real human beings that happen to be women.
Not Captain Marvel, you know? Like,
exactly. I could go off.
Me too. But it's a good comparison because, like,
yeah,
I feel
one of the grievances too I have is, like, soundtrack wise, Captain Marvel, there's like a whole fight scene where they do, it's to the song Just a Girl by No Doubt, which is like,
Stop.
I feel like,
seriously?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's like, that song is a little bit like low energy for a battle scene anyways, and you're only using it because the lyrics are just a girl, which is like super pandering. However, at the end of Birds of Prey, at like the very end when it started playing Kesha, I was like, yes, I'm a motherfucking woman.
But they did have Canary singing It's a Man's World, and when she started singing that, I was like, you sold me. It's good.
That was gorgeous. Yeah, I
thought it was
too.
great. Yeah. That's so funny, Kesha.
So,
yes.
I love Kesha at the end of that movie. Just, I mean, she's not in it, y'all. Just her song. I'm a soundtrack fan, but,
Same.
Oh, but so finally, almost to the end, guys. They have this big fun house fight scene. They beat everybody up, and as they're leaving, there are still people outside waiting for them, which they didn't realize. They thought everyone had ran in, which was a big mistake on their part, because I'm like, why are y'all just like willy-nilly free walking out? Like, we did it. Like, you don't know that they're still, like, you're not going to take any kind of precaution. Luckily, Montoya, who gets shot, was wearing a bulletproof vest. So even though they weren't very smart, they didn't have to learn a lesson in that moment. But basically, in order to defeat all of these people, they're all out of weapons, they're all out of ammo, and Black Canary does her magic scream. Her supersonic scream.
Her supersonic move.
I don't know the name of that move, y'all, but
I don't either.
Don't come at me. She screams really loud and goes, ah! And wow,
blows them away,
y'all. And Harley Quinn like covers her ears and like goes right in the middle of the scream and uses the force to propel herself forward to get to the car where Roman had snatched Cassandra after they had all walked out in all the hubbub, snatched her up and got her in the car, and now Harley Quinn is chasing the car on roller skates, and they're driving all over. Huntress has her motorcycle, and Harley Quinn's holding onto her whip, and they're like zooming in and out of traffic like they're water skiing. She catches up with them at a pier. It's like foggy, and she's going through, and there's so many statues on the pier, and she can't tell. It's kind of like the last scene of Beauty and the Beast when Gaston is looking and it's all the gargoyles. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's all foggy, and he's hitting them, and so she hears Black Mask, Ewan McGregor, and he's like talking. Oh, I'm over here. No, I'm over here. I don't know what he's saying, but
it was a really cool scene.
She finally sees a little bit of moving and shoots, and she ends up using her last bullet and accidentally hitting a statue that's on the pier. I don't know why I'm talking like that today.
I love it.
And he's like, ha ha ha, you missed. And then Cassandra's like, oh, Harley, I have to apologize. I stole something from you. I took one of your rings. And she goes like this, and she has the ring of the grenade that she stole earlier. Remember I said it would come in later?
Yeah.
So she has the ring, and she had planted the grenade on Ewan McGregor, and then she gets out of his way, and Harley Quinn pushes him off the pier, and he explodes in the air before he gets to the water.
Oh, shit. Yes.
I thought it was great.
It was a great scene.
So then, the end of the movie, Black Canary, Montoya, and Huntress now join up and they become their own vigilante crime stopping team called the Birds of Prey. And Harley Quinn and Cassandra go off on their own, and they are in the most fashionable outfits I've ever seen.
Yes.
Wearing their cute little sunglasses. And they are off to film Suicide Squad 2. I don't know.
Right. Right.
And that is Birds of Prey.
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10 clicks.
Oh, all right.
Because I thought it was super enjoyable.
Uh-huh.
There were a few scenes that were just like a little over-the-top cringe that I can't enjoy, so I can't give it a click for that. Like, there's a scene in the beginning where he's peeling off the faces of a mother, father, and daughter, and he goes like, oh, I just didn't like that part at all. So I'm like, lose a click, because that made me uncomfortable.
Right. Right.
Regardless of how it was, like, there are some things that I'm just like, I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like sometimes going into one of these comic book movies if it's PG-13, because I feel a little bit safe knowing that they're not going to do anything like ridiculously over-the-top gory to be just plain nasty.
Right.
So the fact that when you walk into it, you know it's going to be rated R. You know it's rated R because they're going to be doing something gross.
Something over-the-top ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it 8 clicks because other than those moments of it just being like really cringy for me, I loved the character development with Harley Quinn. I loved the inner workings of all of the other characters with it.
Mm-hmm.
And just like having such solid female representation is super, super rare in film that it's like you don't even realize it unless you are a girl who's looking for it. And you realize, like, why are all these girls literally just standing here to be an object for the guy's plotline to continue?
Right.
These characters actually have story and substance and meaningful moments that move the story along.
Right.
I will say, there was one part, though, I don't like, costuming-wise.
Mm-hmm. I didn't like Harley's, like, her boots in one of the scenes. Like, it was like her boots.
Oh. Yeah, there were some costume choices that I wasn't happy with. Like, there's a scene where Montoya is wearing a shirt that says, "I shaved my balls for this."
Oh, that's right.
And for me, I find it that if you're doing a show or if your costume has like graphic words on it, people watching are going to be reading the words more than listening to the lines you're delivering.
Absolutely.
And I found myself so often in those scenes
fixated on it.
I'm like, what does her shirt say? Because when you first see her, she's sitting at a desk, so all you see is the word shaved. You just like, why is she wearing a shirt that says shaved?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all for, like, this one joke at the end of the scene for him to say, oh, by the way, we have a dress code. And I'm like, I know, but it was just so... For her to have those words on her shirt the whole time was, like, distracting. Because instead of listening to what she was saying, in my head, I was reading, I shaved my balls for this. I shaved my balls for this. I shaved my balls for this. Like, oh.
Yeah, same.
So I did miss a little bit of what was going on there, but I just wish that they hadn't done maybe a different sloppy t-shirt, but I just felt like that was a choice that I wouldn't have made because I would have felt like I wouldn't want to distract the audience. But that might just be I'm the only one who's distracted by it.
I could see where you're coming from with that opinion, but I was like, shirt, balls,
yeah,
like that,
shirt, balls.
So I agree with you totally. Can I share a tidbit? Oh wait, go for it.
I wanted to say really quick, though,
Mm-hmm.
back to before when I was saying how Batman is the villain in Batman.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that, like, Batman, Bruce Wayne is a billionaire.
Yeah.
In a city overrun with poverty, which we know crime comes from poverty more so than it comes from people being bad people. So I think it's funny that a billionaire, instead of giving to his community and funding community services to help actually get people out of poverty and to help prevent crime, he's deciding to just go around the city with a really expensive costume that he made and beat up mentally ill people. I just don't know why that he's a good guy. I just don't know why that's a good guy thing.
He's a really shitty Tony Stark is what he is. He's just like a really like...
Well, so is...
What? So is Tony
Stark.
Tony Stark! Tony Stark has a little bit of a heart, like a little bit more of like like he wants to fund the program to help the kids specifically, like the kids that have special powers, but I mean, I agree with you. Batman's so hyped up and I'm like, why? He's a regular human.
Right.
Whatever.
He's like, imagine if Jeffrey Bezos just went around beating up homeless people.
I would fucking murder
Come
him.
on.
Just kidding. I wouldn't kill him. But I would become the Joker. I'd be that mentally ill person.
Right. Like you, of course someone hates Batman.
I would be
my God, you rich fuck.
Every time I think of Batman, I don't know why, but I think of that quote. Not quote, but like the Robin Hood song from Shrek where he's like, I steal from the rich and I give to the needy. No, but I'm not greedy. Like I think of it all the time.
Oh my gosh. You know what? You know what Batman could have built instead of a Batcave? A fucking homeless shelter. A fucking children's hospital. Like, come on.
I know. If they want to get people to watch more Batman movies, please change his direction.
Yeah.
Please.
Start investing in actually proven programs that prevent crime, not just beating up randos.
Yeah, honestly. Do what the Joker did in his early days, apparently.
At least Harley Quinn started off trying to help people.
Right.
She was a psychiatrist.
Right.
Or a therapist. Anyways, what do you rate it?
I would have to give it, I've been teetering on like 7 and 6 flicks because I was never the only, you're gonna hit, that's so hypocritical of me, but I love Aquaman. I love him because he's hot. He's Aquaman. He's also hot, yes. But the movies are so shit. They're so bad. And so when Suicide Squad came around and like the Harley Quinn phase and like the hype about it, I really didn't want to see this movie. And then the fact that I liked it, I was like, all right, fine, I guess. I get it. But it's really cute because a lot of people were romanticizing Joker and Harley Quinn. And it's obviously not a healthy relationship.
Yes.
So in the beginning, she makes it so clear. She's like, I'm really crazy, but I really love him. So, you know, it was cool.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.
Nice.
Yeah. I wanted to point out specifically that Suicide Squad got better ratings on IMDb. It was a 7.3 out of 10. But their budget was $165.4 million. Okay. That was Suicide Squad 1. Birds of Prey got 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. And they had a budget of $201.9 million. Clearly, Suicide Squad, I haven't seen it, but I've heard bad things about it. Not great, but not bad. But
I will go on record right here, right now, and definitively say Birds of Prey is a better movie than Suicide Squad.
Okay.
For sure.
I'll take it.
For fucking sure.
Okay.
Suicide Squad, the only ever thing entertaining in that movie was them introducing the characters. Once every character was introduced, the rest of it was boring. It was just like, why is this a movie? Yeah. No.
I'm going to have
Birds
to watch
of Prey. People just don't like seeing strong women, and that's just the bottom line. And if you really disagree with me, you're a misogynist.
Yep. Basically, because it was a really good movie. They told it well. It was great. So
it was good. And
if
you know
find
what?
yourself hating it, go watch it.
Yeah, superhero movies are allowed to be shitty all the time, and this one actually was a good movie. So don't come here and tell me that it wasn't good, because finally there's a superhero movie that's entertaining.
Yes.
I said it.
I said it.
Just kidding. No, there's a few. There's obviously a few that are good, and obviously a whole bunch that are crap. This is a good one. I liked it.
I agree.
Positive ratings from Click and Flick.
Yes. Are you ready for the click?
Yeah.
Okay.
Click. Let's move on.
I'm so ready because this click in particular holds a special place in my heart, and it is called Deathgarden, Blood Harvest. And so when this game came out, it came out in August 14th, 2018. I did not play this game until 2019. Okay. I had a PC by 2018, but around 2019, we started doing a lot more LAN parties. And so this game was a huge hit between all of us. And because it's a 5-player versus it's 5v1 basically. So all of us could sit down and play as a team, and it was a great time. So the sad part about this game is that it was removed from the market. It was free to play, for if I'm recalling correctly. It was removed from being able to be downloaded at the end of 2019. So right before 2020 hit, if they would have just held on like 3 more months, it would have been fine.
You think they would have survived through the pandemic?
I think so, and here's why. Because a game called Dead by Daylight is really popular right now. It has been for quite some time. I really don't know why. I've played it like once.
It's the same makers.
Yep. I'm pretty sure. Did you double check that? Because I think it is.
That's what I heard on all of them.
I think you're right. But I think Deathgarden is a way better game. I think it's really gory and scary. But anyway. So yeah, the game was removed from the market, which was really sad. And
what I heard is that it is like Death by Daylight, except just faster.
Death by Daylight,
like a high speed version of Death by Daylight. But I do think that it's the same people.
I'll double check in a few, unless you want to do so. It did come out on PlayStation, Windows, and Xbox One at the time. I obviously had it for PC. So the premise of the game, there's a little bit of lore prior to it. Basically, there was this big war on the planet. And the war was basically for superpowers. So just a higher kind of ranking of humans. And so they were separated into classes, basically, like a hierarchy, and then obviously the slums. The scavengers are the ones that kind of just roam around the slums of the outside the, what's it called? The Enclave. That's what it is. The Enclave is this like really nice hierarchy of a place. And
can I when I was watching videos of it, I was getting like Hunger Game world vibes, where it's like the capital and everyone's like immensely rich, and then everyone on the ground is like
fighting for their life.
Yes.
Yeah, they 100% like nail on the head. So what they do people in the slums, what they're able to do, they willingly go into the Deathgarden, which is this arena, and they begin a blood harvest. And so that's when you start getting into the gameplay. Even when you're starting the game, if you start off as a hunter, your tiny little loading screen, I guess, if you will, like kind of just your base, is nicer than the scavengers. It's a really intricate game.
Because you're rich.
Really pretty. Yeah. Because you're Jeffrey Bezos, basically.
Because you're Jeffrey Bezos.
So getting into gameplay, if you're on the team of the scavengers, you start off getting ready to jump into the arena. And each character has their own unique quirks, like their own abilities, like invisibility, fast running, blah, blah, blah. And so once you get into the arena, you see a bunch of broken down buildings, kind of like what you would see in a regular arena, and lots of high bushes that you can hide in. Your goal is basically to not fucking die. And you have to collect blood throughout the game, and in order to win, you have to submit that blood to an obelisk and get it filled up completely with blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically like you're collecting points to bring to your goal.
Yep.
But they're like, it's blood.
Yeah, basically.
How do we make it gross?
Right. It was scary. When we played it, it was scary. Because they do a really good job at separating the scavengers from the hunter. And when the hunter's getting close to the scavenger, scary, intense, loud music plays. And
for the on the hunter's side or on the scavenger side?
On the scavenger side. Because it's letting you know that the hunter's near. And yeah, so basically you hear that music and you want to stay safe, you want to stay hidden so the hunter cannot find you. Because if he finds you, he can kill you. Bless.
Thank you.
And so you collect from little blood banks, you admit them to the obelisk, keep all of your teammates alive. And on the hunter side, you can activate little drones that go up into the sky that kind of can see a section of the land. So if a scavenger's in it, he can see them. Another thing is when you're submitting the blood to the obelisk, when you're doing that, the hunter can hear you. And he knows exactly where you are. So he can run and just pinpoint the shit out of you and kill you.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. So if you make it far enough, if you submit enough blood to the obelisk and your sacrifice is worthy, the gates open to exit. Oh, and when that happens, when the gates open, the hunter can see at this point. So the gates are open, he can see everything. So if you're running and you're close by him, he can pinpoint you and kill you. But yeah, you're basically trying to get out of the gates so you can go into the enclave and live a wealthy life of luxury and with finance.
Wow.
Yeah. But
wow.
It's not really a story-based game, which is why I wanted to pick it, because it's such a tragedy that it's not here anymore. It's a bummer because it was a really fun game. It was gory, it was scary, but great with a team, especially when you're all working together. It's like a really rewarding game. And there's a funny story.
Confirm.
Go ahead.
I did confirm that it's the same developers as Dead by Daylight.
Hell yeah. Way to go.
So what I heard before is that they first came out with this game and it was way too overpowered for the hunter to win. And like it was almost no fun to play because scavengers couldn't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
It was just like super unbalanced. And so they took it down and then put it back up, and
yes, they did a lot of like
and put like a whole new like lore background with it, and then added new like champions or new scavengers to be able to have stronger powers, but apparently then that made it so that if everyone picked this, there was like one scavenger that was almost unstoppable for the hunter, and so now it became way too unbalanced on the other side.
Right.
And so eventually they were like, let's just stop. Because at the same time of not being able to fix this like awkward power play dynamic, they were also then, because their video game Dead by Daylight was like such a popular game, they were fighting with their own game for competition.
They were,
to get players.
Yeah. Absolutely, because people are they have such a hard-on for Dead by Daylight. And I don't even know why.
Are so horny for Dead by Daylight.
They're
like just cream coming down the side of their legs for it.
They are so turned on by the fact that you're being chased. I don't know.
Lightning rod right down the slit.
Showing, like
showing.
But whatever, like, to each their own. Dead by Daylight. If you like it, you fucking like it, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't get the hype, but it was just a super, like, for me, revolutionary game, because I didn't play Dead by Daylight, so I really liked it. But it was a bummer.
From what I saw about it, I wouldn't think that it would be, I don't know, so unpopular if it is so similar to Dead by Daylight with faster gameplay, Right. So,
but I mean, you finding, I didn't read too much into the unbalancing act of it, but that would make a lot of sense. If they just couldn't get the proper updates, a lot of people aren't going to play it because they don't. A lot of people complain about that now, so
yeah,
I get it. But funny story, I was pregnant while playing this game. And we were playing at a LAN party at our friend's house. And my mom had just passed away. So I was just there as a human shell, basically. And that earthquake hit. That big earthquake that was in Ridgecrest had hit us. That night we were playing Dead by Daylight. And it was the scariest experience ever. We were inside. There was a few of us at our computers, and then Keith was outside with somebody else cooking burgers or whatever. And me and my friend look at each other. We're like, "Should we go outside?" And we were like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, we go outside, and we were on the concrete, and we were just doing this. So I always associate Deathgarden with that earthquake. It's crazy.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If I had to rate this game, I think I would give it a solid 8 out of 10 clicks, because it was just the replayability. We all had fun. It was a great game. It was unbalanced, which we stopped and we fell out of playing with it for a little while because of it, but it was good. I liked it.
Yeah. And I think, with how you're describing your experience with it, it is more, meaningful for you because you were playing with friends. And when you're playing team games, it's funner if you're playing with a team of friends. Because if you're just, online and you get randomly matched with people, you have no way of communicating with them, where you're at, what you're doing, what the plan is. So it's really hard to get through those kind of games.
It is.
So I could definitely see why it would be more fun to play in a group than on your own. I never got to play this game.
Make me cry thinking about it.
Don't cry.
I know. It's just it's true. A gamer community is such a big deal. It really is.
Yeah.
But anyway, were you gonna rate it? I'm curious.
I never got to play it, but since it is a video game, I'm going to give it 5 out of 10 for being a video game.
That's better than Phasmo.
Well, that one was too scary.
That was really scary.
I don't know why I think this one's less scary to me, but I just think so.
Yeah.
Plus, we all know my ratings don't really count for anything.
They do in my world. They mean a lot to me. But yeah, it was a fun game. I enjoyed this week's episode, but
me too.
I think I'm ready to like put it in the past because Deathgarden is no longer like I'm ready to.
It is now.
Move on.
Deathgarden is in the cemetery.
It's in the past,
of old video games, no longer playable by humans.
It's still in my Steam library too.
Unless someone has it somehow, like ripped.
I don't know. Like
but I guess
illegally.
you couldn't really play online, huh?
No, you can't. That's true. I didn't
It
think
was
about
harder
it.
for those games. But
right.
Anywho, thank you
ready?
guys for listening again.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for sticking around. If you like what you heard, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, email us at clickandflickpodcast@gmail.com.
Tell us what you want to hear us talk about. You can find us on social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yes. All of them. Come find us and talk to us.
Click and Flick Podcast. Look for us. Like us. Share us.
Love us.
Please hug us. Hold us. Make us dinner.
Caress us. Well, we
do my taxes.
I'm putting that in. Leaving that in. We can't wait to hear from you guys, and have a great week. We'll catch you next.
Yes. Next time we clickety flickety.
Pacha.
Bye.
Bye.